Okay, so welcome to the spoiler section. I don't know how long this is gonna go for because we made it our mission prior to this. Prior to like we were talking in the car where we want the spoiler section to not feel like a total recap of the entire movie. We're not gonna
Even
just
spoken
go
at all
over
about
every
this.
single thing. We're just gonna take the things that stuck to us the most that we really wanted to talk about in the car and extrapolate on those, but with spoilers. Now, my first one technically does start at the beginning of the movie, which is that it's pretty much Gwen's movie for like what, 15, 20 minutes? And
And
it's
it still
actually
kind of feels
her.
like it throughout, a little bit throughout.
Yeah, even coming back towards the end, where the implications about her dad being a captain, being Captain Stacy, and how there's pretty much a curse around the role of captain, where apparently some kind of police officer or captain, it's not even about Uncle Ben anymore. There's has to be
Just the
they're
captain.
shoving it over to a captain. Now, this is one other little nitpick that I had about the movie that I didn't want to talk about in the spoiler-free section. I wanted to kind of keep that as concentrated as possible. Is it just me, or was the timeline a little finicky at the beginning? Because they, in terms of like her art style with the length of her hair, her, going, being in her universe, being in that band, and then dealing with her Peter turning into a lizard. The way it was presented, for some reason, it just kind of made it seem like the Miles stuff in the first movie already happened, and then her Peter turned into a lizard. But didn't that happen before she got sucked into
Yes, because that's why she
into
even
Spider-Verse?
became Spider Girl or Spider
But the
Woman.
way it was presented here made it seem like it was switched. You know what I'm saying?
Really?
That's how it came off to me. If you guys felt that, obviously if you're watching the spoiler section here, you've already seen the movie, or you don't care. But if you have seen Across the Spider-Verse, the way that this movie opened, I like the ballsy choice of having it start with Gwen Stacy. But in terms of like the swap, I don't know. There was something translating really weird to me in the chronological playout of events of the opening. Once we get past that part, and then Gwen gets introduced to Miguel and to Spider Woman and all of them, then it becomes a bit more streamlined. Straight.
Or maybe she
forward.
was just thinking about it felt like that because she was comparing to what she's gonna end up doing.
Yeah, well, to bring it back, what, towards the end? So that when she confronts her dad later on, and
This feels like again, it did a recap of what already happened. I didn't feel like it was like that. I feel like it was just a recap of what already happened. And that's why, forgive me, she's so miserable.
yeah, I guess I could see that. Like I said, it was just the organization. It's the organization of the events that just looked a
It
little
felt
weird.
like it was she went over there and this happened.
Yeah.
The band and then afterwards, right?
Yeah.
No, I took it as it was a recap. It's showing you what happened to Led, why she's already kind of like that. She doesn't have any friends, and then it shows why she's not in the band, right? She go, well, that's better that I'm on the band.
I guess it's because they maybe cut out
Yes.
showing her being sucked into the
Yes.
stuff
I think
and
that's
into
what happened.
Spider-Verse.
That threw you off a little bit.
Yeah,
Yes,
and then they
that's
just
what
cut to her
happened.
meeting up with Miguel.
To me,
whenever
it was
once
just a
she
recap,
bolted.
and I'm like, oh, okay, I get it.
I thought it was a recap at first, but then they jump into what's his name? Shakespearean or
The Shakespearean Vulture.
Is that what they called it? Shakespearean or the Da Vinci something because of the way it was drawn.
Yeah,
which again,
he was
this
Leonardo or something.
Leonardo, yeah, this harkens to the beautiful animation where they get super creative.
And even the vulture, he looks like parchment.
He looks like parchment, and whenever he attacks, there's like a sketch of the equation when it props up. Like I said, little things like that. I was like, awesome. And this art, I'm jumping a little ahead here, but this jumps into the animation styles of some other characters, particularly Hobie, aka Spider-Punk.
And forgive me, I cannot understand a damn word the whole damn movie.
Discrimination against Daniel Kaluuya.
I don't know if they did it on purpose, but he's like...
he went a little extra cockney on his voice. So he sounds a little... Because obviously I get what they're doing, Sex Pistols. That whole era of that whole, censor this, David. Man, going against the man anarchy and all that stuff. So I loved his design and the animation style. He... Strangely enough, though, going back to the freneticism and how it was kind of wearing me out a little bit, it was also his frame rate.
That's what I'm saying.
He was Spider-Punk's frame rate
because
everybody moves a little faster.
To me, but the way that like everything around him, behind him, a little bit.
No, everything around him is moving at the regular frame rate. He's going like a little like jagged And it's like I'm playing in VR where like something's
I feel
like
like I'm looking at
and
a
I'm like,
puzzle with him in
oh,
the
I
background.
have to like focus on other things when he was
Yeah, when
appearing
he
on
was
screen.
in his outfit, that's when I was like, oh my god, because everything's like literally moving almost behind him as well.
Yeah. But once she gets introduced to Miguel and he explains what's going down with the multiverse, which apparently this is something that also was another big crux to connecting it to Into the Spider Verse, and why I was also like, we're gonna have to rewatch the first one. I feel it's that damn spider. Because apparently that spider was not supposed to be in Miles'
Hey, how funny!
universe
I
in the
kept
first
thinking
place.
in the first one too. I'm like, huh? Why did that spider kind of go in and out a little bit? He just looks different.
So it wasn't a stylistic choice. It was actually not belonging there.
Purpose.
That is nuts.
Even I thought it was a little
now
weird.
I'm connecting it in my
Even
head.
back then, I thought it was a little weird. But I was like, oh, maybe it's just.
Now I'm connecting
maybe
it in my
it's just
head.
the universe that he's in that the spider looks different. You know what I mean? But that spider did look.
So
different.
the little glitch I thought was just a radioactive stylistic visual thing.
I noticed that glitch.
No,
kind of went.
So it confirms that that spider was actually not supposed to be there, and they used that as the seed for the plot here. Miguel says that spider was not supposed to be there. Miles was not supposed. He broke the by just becoming Spider-Man, and then Peter B. Parker pushing that forward with his training. He pretty much broke up the Spider-Verse because of that. It wasn't just the Collider and Kingpin doing his thing. It was also that Spider-Verse beam. Oh, that Spider beam.
That technically, unfortunately, Miles wasn't supposed to be Spider-Man.
He wasn't supposed to be Spider-Man, and the Spot was not supposed to exist. This was the character that I said I'm probably gonna have to go and get the figure now, because turns out the Spot is our Darth Vader.
Yes.
Or our Emperor. Or
yes,
no, our Emperor.
Our unwilling villain.
Our unwilling nemesis. They took some the Lord Miller and all Kemp Powers and the directors and the writers pretty much took the Spot and did with them the way James Gunn did with the Guardians of the Galaxy, where they took some characters that were like, oh, who the hell is that? That looks goofy. That looks whatever. And now we're like, oh shit, no, this guy can really mean business. And it's the Spot. The Spot.
You think he's some idiot with some bread popping out of him? No.
He was a guy who got hit by bread.
He's like a bagel guy.
He was the bagel guy. He was the guy who got hit in the head by a bagel in the first Spider-Verse movie. They just took a random joke and made him the supervillain of not only part 2 here, but likely part 3. To the point where at the end here, he looks like a goddamn Kingdom Hearts boss.
No, he
looks
looks
the way he's floating in the air.
To me, he looked like what's her face, Vanya or whatever from the Umbrella Academy.
Ooh, that's a good one actually. Yeah,
that's what I thought about the whole time. I was like, oh, that looks badass. So
where
trying to pull out his violin.
Yeah, and admittedly, he does kind of take a bit of a step back once we get introduced to the Spider People. But I can tell
he's the begin. He's your egg later.
He's your Davy Jones.
Yes, your Davy Jones.
Yeah.
Later on.
He's our Davy Jones. We're like, yeah, once we get to the third one, we're going to push things aside and really focus on this guy who's really tearing things quite literally from the inside. And so, yeah, that was surprising, pleasantly surprising to see that the Spot was handled this way.
That we say that another one of Spider-Man's enemies, unfortunately, he makes his own.
Almost all the time.
Every single time, and it follows the arc again. Unfortunately, he didn't even do it on purpose. It just was an accident. He wasn't even the cause of it.
It was
if you think
much
about
cleverer
it,
than I thought it would be.
It was Kingpin's fault, technically, who did all of this. He was just trying to stop it, and it was an accident in the first one, right? Mm-hmm. So it's always an accident. Poor Spider-Man always gets the blame for it.
But maybe the Spot would have been created, but if Miles didn't become the Spider-Man, then he wouldn't have this thing to go after. Yeah, he might have gone after Kingpin instead.
And then here's the thing too, spoiler alert again, that he said, "I created you, you created me," because this guy turned out to be the one who also created the spider.
Yeah, so that to me is one of the fascinating things about this movie that I generally did love, is that they took, like I said, some D-lister, and now I'm looking at him like, well, shit. Like I said, I think I might have to get that figure because it comes with a cool little accessory piece that has Miles' head and his arm
I love that fight in the beginning. It killed me. That was one of the fights.
It was clever with the holes.
Yeah, they were going through the holes and they're beating each other. And he kept saying, he's like, I'm going to find ways to fill all my holes.
Yeah.
He kept saying things like that, and I was like, oh, whoever wrote this.
And it's funny because the way James Gunn pushed the PG-13 rating recently with Volume 3, with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Yeah.
They pushed the PG rating with this one, because every so often they drop a hell or an ass, and like I said, the joke with the holes, I was like, damn, I'm actually kind of surprised this ain't PG-13. And like we mentioned in the spoiler-free review, where there are themes revolving around death, characters having to die in order for others to push
and
forward.
These heroes are like, and it's true, like even Gwen says that, she's like, we're supposed to be the good guys, and like Miguel says, he's like, we are the good guys. He's like, really? One person they're willing to let one person die to let, again, it throws into question, are you going to let one person die to save the whole world?
Like Spock would say.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that when we were watching the trailers, we were kind of guessing, because, you know, Miguel has always been a 29-9 Spider-Man, and he's always been a little bit more spider than human, hence the fangs, hence the aggressive nature, hence him crawling on all fours. Which is cool that they're tackling.
The way he moves, it's just like, oh my god, this guy's gonna eat me.
Articulated very well here in this movie and played really great by Oscar Isaac. But even him, I felt like him was just a little, again, it's just barely there, just a little undercut. That's why I'm hoping that we see like a really good scene with him in 3.
I feel like in the third one, they're really gonna show the spider come out fully.
Of him?
Because I feel in this one, he was just like really holding back, like, oh, you're really annoying me. Oh, I'm gonna get you, Miles.
Yeah, if you guys are hoping for like a full-blown, no-holds-barred fight between Miles and Miguel, it's not here. But I feel like they're setting up. It's like an appetizer for like the main event.
Even the way his face looks at certain points, you're like, oh, and he keeps like stabbing himself with like some serum. I guess I'm taking. It's like it's like his blade, exactly like how Blade does it with his blade. Forgive me. It's like Blade with his serum. Yes. That's
a good one. That's a good reference.
Yes.
I forgot about that movie. We're gonna get a new Blade with Uncle Aaron. Mahershala Ali is gonna be Blade.
No, that would like definitely.
We'll see, because I hear that there's some trouble going on with them.
Get their shit together.
Yeah, a little bit of that writing.
I have a big thing because I had a big thing for Frost.
Who?
Frost, villain.
Oh. Whatever. But eventually, Miles, unfortunately breaks, like I said, another canonical event by saving the captain inside of
a different multiverse.
I mean, I'm just gonna say the Indian Spider-Man multiverse.
He was cool, even the way he moved.
It was like, cool. And again, this is another segment that really emphasizes the artistry of this movie, the way that the art direction is played out, how they handled everything.
To like use the spider
architecture,
with, even he uses his
usage
skin
of color
to save people with.
Well, I'll go further to say that it's almost like they drew. It's computer animated, but the actual artistry of this world, what was it? Mumbai, like a Mumbai version of Manhattan.
But it was Mumbaitan, or something like that.
The specific color palettes and stencils is that you see in temples in India.
Even his outfit, like it's like the sharp edges of the colors. It's like the Indian palettes and the colors and the angles and everything.
Yeah,
the line, it's really nice.
So, and you see that in an awful lot of the different universes that we jump to, whether it be with the spider people that were introduced once he becomes part of that group, or the universes that the Spot discovers. So let's dedicate briefly as we can do here, what was your favorite look at that moment?
I think the dinosaur.
I think that one probably got you the biggest laugh. And I think I know why. Because his goddamn tiny arms.
He was all...
So much so that the camera even centered.
Yes,
it didn't you see that?
It went, those little arms.
He went like that, and the camera goes thwop. I was like, they knew what the hell they were doing.
I loved it. It was just this big ass dinosaur, or the horse, or how it was hanging up. He was hanging upside down, and it shows the web. It shoot the webbing, and the horse is upside down too, and like. The horse like literally floats back up with the webbing,
or zips back up.
Oh,
so there's some obvious ones that were already in the trailer, where especially when they're pointing at each other, like you, whatever. You can kind of pick apart all the different ones.
Yes.
Going back to the spoiler-free review, where I mentioned that Sony was going to take full advantage of its archive, which means that Toby and Andrew,
all the boys are in there.
Do they make a cameo? Yes, and no.
They cheated.
They cheated.
Yes.
They cheated, but in a, to be honest, in a
savvy
good
way. Yes.
Where they don't appear in this movie the way that they appear in No Way Home. They use footage
from the old movie,
the first Raimi movie and the first Amazing Spider-Man movie.
To put references.
And they were tied into a story.
Yes.
I like that. It's still tied into the theme of Uncle Ben and all that stuff. They weren't just thrown in there to be like, hey, look, it's Toby.
It's showing all the captains and all the Gwens and all that from different
I thought that was
universes.
pretty cool and expertly handled. What I did think was, thankfully they were out of there before we got a little too far, that I did think was a bit egregious, was, I can't remember her name, but our concession lady from Venom.
Yeah,
that was the only one where I was like, we didn't need that here.
Much time here.
We didn't. It was Sony flexing, being like, Venom 3 is coming. Venom 3 is coming. Venom 3 is coming. Yeah. That's how it felt like to me. That was the only one that I'm like, you could have cut that out.
It went on for a while longer than it should have.
Yeah. Where Spot's like, I can jump into multi. I'm like, you don't need to explain this to her. You can just pop in and be like, where are we? Okay, I didn't get information. Bye.
But there was more. They gave her a minute of talk.
Yeah. But yeah, as far as like references, they do acknowledge that they can jump to real life with the inclusion of another Uncle Aaron, Donald Glover, from the MCU. So the MCU gets further acknowledged. He was full on paralyzed. So I don't know if this is going to be a reference to Spider-Man 4, the fourth with Tom Holland.
Oh yes.
Or if there's gonna be some spin, I don't know. Or if this was just a innocent little
shot
wink
kind of thing that they just threw him in here and used him.
Just
but he was
like,
actually like real life.
But the fact that he had an actual suit is intriguing. An actual Prowler suit.
He was in there.
There was that, and then go ahead.
Did you see that part where she was that one girl with the computer? She's like digitalized. She's supposedly she was in the
Avatar.
Yes. Did you see the spider sense going off between them two?
Oh yeah. Where they're like I didn't really think too much of it.
Why were they the only ones who did it?
You mean like why didn't they do it earlier?
Why I didn't see that
with like Miguel. You didn't see that with Jessica or anything like that. That is an interesting point.
I hope they use that later. Because I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but
you're reading into that. I'm reading into Miguel's spider sense not going off. Didn't he get attacked from behind earlier in the movie when when he was talking to Gwen, and Gwen was like zoom, but Miguel was just like what?
Maybe he didn't find her enough as a threat.
No, but there was somebody else behind him.
That's true. It didn't go off.
He didn't go off. So what?
A lot of his things, a lot of it didn't really.
So again, this factoring into like. Is the spider sense a bit more integral to the human side of a Spider-Man or Spider-Person? And maybe because he's more spider than man, then that sensory, like, danger, this human instinct is not getting...
Yeah, it's not the same because
it's not heightened.
Well, what do you say? Like, predators don't have that really because they don't have to be.
Like, I think
they are the predator. They are the alpha. They are the main person. They shouldn't have to
worry. I feel like maybe in the next one, that's going to come back to figuratively bite Miguel in the ass.
Miguel
during some kind of fight or something like that.
Really took Miles for granted.
I mean, the Easter egg that I was geeking out over is Insomniac Spider-Man, the PlayStation Spider-Man. Now, not the one that you think, because there's actually two references here. One where we see him once they enter the lobby and we see all these spider people. You see him in the middle. You see the one with the white spider. It's like, oh, are you talking to me?
Yes.
And I believe that is, in fact, Yuri Lowenthal, the voice actor. So he technically made a cameo. So PS4 Spidey isn't here.
Yes, I got really excited. What was that guy who got him? Josh? What was his name?
Oh, yes. Spectacular Spider-Man. He got to have his own lines.
He got so excited.
One of my favorite Spideys, the 2008 Spectacular Spider-Man. He gets his own line. He wasn't just thrown in the background. He actually gets to talk to Miles. I was like,
he was talking
that is sick.
Everything.
And I recognize the voice. I'm like, that's Josh. I got Josh in there. But here's the thing. As geeked out as I was over those two, if you want... It's going to sound so stupid. If you guys want your early access at regular Peter, no symbiote suit, regular Peter gameplay from the upcoming Spider-Man 2, go watch this movie. Because Genki is playing Spider-Man 2. And I know, again, going back to the egregious nature of the Venom cameo, it is a little... look how big my schlong is from Sony's side by having Genki holding a DualSense controller. You can blatantly see it's a DualSense.
Killed me. Yes, he did. I did see it.
But on the screen is Spider-Man 2 gameplay. It's animated to look like the art style here, but I look closely and I'm like, yo, that's the HUD from the Spider-Man 2 gameplay we just watched. It's not. I looked at the HUD and I'm like, that's not the HUD from the first Spider-Man. I can tell you right now, because that one's a lot lighter. This one was darker, so I'm like, this is Spider-Man 2 gameplay. What the hell?
Yeah, you should have seen him. He was so excited.
Okay, so after that, I mean, we get our events that then lead to Miles being defiant, obviously, because, can't live with the death of
well, like you said,
his dad.
It's true. Like, and it's unfortunate, but it's true. Like, Spider-Man, why can't Spider-Man save everybody? And it's true. They're supposed to be the good guy. They're supposed to be able to say, or want to, or strive to save everyone. Look after the little guy.
And in doing this, gets into a big fight that we kind of saw a little bit in the trailer.
He's basically by himself.
And he breaks out, leading us to eventually, I mean, like I said, we can kind of surmise this real quick instead of going through all the recap. But this leads us to our big Empire Strikes Back cliffhanger. He's in the wrong universe.
Yes. That spider that bit him comes into play, unfortunately. And...
Because... go ahead.
That spider was not from his universe. It's from a different universe, so... When he goes back home, he's like, I want to go back home.
He's at that wrong
He's
universe.
at the spider universe.
From where the spider came from.
And unfortunately, since this spider did not bite Mr. Morales, the correct Morales, this universe doesn't have a Spider-Man. And so...
That Morales went the wrong path.
Bigger villain than anything.
He got cornrows.
Yes. Big time. Even though Uncle was all...
No, he knew something was up.
Immediately.
Like,
immediately.
What do they say? Like blood knows blood or something like that.
Come on, no. There was too much hope in his eyes.
So, so there was that. That's our big cliffhanger. Is that he goes to the wrong universe. Meanwhile, like I said, this is the area where I was like, I really liked how all the chess pieces were put on the board in the right places for our whatever play is going to be. The Spot is about to make his move, appearing in the universe where Jefferson Davis is still alive. It is a big, like, what the hell do we do now? Because you have Spot in the universe where Miles' dad is still alive.
He's coming after him.
Miles is in the universe where his dad is dead, but he is the Prowler.
Yes. And
and you have this big baddie doppelganger, and he's imprisoned by them. He's in their clutches. He's pretty much being held ransom.
And they're actually holding him in.
And then straddled in the middle is Gwen, pretty much assembling her own team of spider people, of which... We'll see if they're really coming back. I don't know. Maybe hopefully they kind of kept them in secret. But Noir's there, Penny's there.
Spider
so I'm like, my man Nicolas Cage better come back.
How?
It feels like rain. Now wherever I go, the wind follows me.
I just let it hit me. What do you think? Just so I could feel something.
But the smell smells like rain. Sometimes I let the fire burn down to my fingertips so I could feel something. Anyways, they are there at the end, and this is going to be an Avenger level possible team up within the Spider-Verse.
Why? And it's true. Spider-Man is meant to save everybody, so maybe let's try because it's true. Like Miles is this chess piece that technically doesn't belong, but are they willing to protect and help this chess piece that doesn't belong? Is this chess piece really worth saving or disrupting the multiverse for this?
Yeah. And that's pretty much where we end up at the end. And then meanwhile, that's the thing. You pretty much have two teams. Two teams?
And you
see
the points of all the points, but at the same time...
It always feels clear. It always feels like, like, here I am remembering, like, what happened to what? No, like, I remember where we're all at, and I'm like, time to end this for the third one.
Who's the real hero? What are we willing to do to really be a hero?
Yeah, and that's where it ends. I'm surprised it said to be continued, not to be concluded. That is interesting. But then the movie ends, and in very untraditional manner, we don't have any end credit scenes. So there's really nothing to talk about.
Immediately.
Yeah, as soon as the movie ends, if you want to see the closing animatic, that's cool, but there's no end credit scenes to actually honestly comment on. And if you're going to end the movie on a cliffhanger, I told her this, if you're going to end the movie on a cliffhanger, end credit scenes can sometimes bring it down a notch, because you want that last pivotal important moment of where everybody is at, and how integral this all is. This big like take your breath away kind of moment of like
And
shit.
they did. That's how
you know,
it ended.
Miles is the Prowler. He's caught by him along with the this much more
Miles
deviant
did
Uncle Aaron.
deep trouble. Yes.
Jefferson Davis is about to get killed by the Spot. You have Gwen with her own team. Miguel with his own team, trying to track these two right here. And like I said, we know where everything's at, and it's very concise and clear. My voice is going.
This movie was just incredible. I liked it a lot. It was just, it made you really think like, damn, maybe the good guys aren't really the good guys.
It's always my favorite kind of stories.
Of course,
but like,
I know
not,
you do.
the good guy's not always good.
The devil's
the bad guy's not always bad.
Especially for Spider-Man, the main Spider-Man, who's always been the guy, who's always been the good guy, who's always been good. Even in this, you feel kind of maybe these guys aren't right all the way. Especially Spider-Man. To me, Spider-Man has always been like the ultimate good. He's always goes for the good. Mm-hmm. Always.
Closing thoughts?
It really makes you think on this one. I really liked how it made you think.
I wouldn't mind watching it again, but just not immediately. I want to watch
the first one, and now comparing and like, oh wow, now
then
we're watching
the second one again.
Yes, it's really going to be like, wow, this part what happened to this part. Oh, that's why that happened to the second part. I knew it should have called back to this part. It's going to be really making you connect dots in this part. This movie, the second one, a lot.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I still prefer the first one over the second one, but this still definitely feels like an extension
this
in a way
where
it's like
more to think on, more to think really
on, without ever compromising what made the first one important.
You didn't break anything
still
down. No, it just continued it, like you said.
Anyways, like I said, my voice is going. It's getting late. I want some ice cream.
You're so fat. Okay, let's go.
All right. Guys, I appreciate you guys for sticking around for the spoilers discussion. The only thing I ask is that you go into the comment section and let me know, do you guys want to see her again? That's it. That's honestly the only real question I have for you guys. Not only have you seen Across the Spider-Verse, but since this was the spoiler discussion, go to town in the comment section. People should know better.
Watch the movie. It's really good.
What were your favorite parts? What was your favorite Spider person? I was hoping Ben Reilly would be a little better. I think Ben Reilly's shtick was kind of overdrawn. You know why? Because he felt like a poor man's version of Noir.
I thought you said
Noir was already doing... Huh? No, I was going to say Noir. Because Noir is already doing the whole stuff.
Oh, I see it. He got it already.
So,
and this guy just took it overboard.
But if Ben Reilly was a favorite, tell me in the comment section, or whoever else was your favorite Easter egg, your favorite thing that was plopped in there, your favorite reference, your favorite Spider person.
Which one was your favorite? The first one or the second one?
That too. And what are your theories or
for the third one?
Thoughts on what's going to play out?
What do you guys think about Miguel? Big time.
Yeah, is he in the right? Is he in the wrong?
He's pretty...
Did Joel do the right thing? That's another PlayStation exclusive.
Does Zaddy do okay?
I'm out of here. Let's go.
Alright, let's go eat some ice cream.